I'm going to discuss the architectural development took place at Lucknow. Everybody knows after the decline of the Mughal Empire, few successor states started to emerge. 18th century is subject to a debate and a high debate is going on. Some scholars say it's a century of the decline since the Mughal Empire had been declined, had been decayed. While some other and these scholars are headed by the Aligarh school of decline, especially Professor Irfan Habib, Satish Chandra, Professor Athar Ali. And on the other hand, another group which contested this theory is known as historians of the continuity. They believe that there is a continuation took place, but now centralized power became decentralized. They are headed by others, Muzaffar Alams and others. Now this debate which is going on politically, economically, some historians they proved, especially in Awadh, there was a agriculture flourishing after the decline of Mughal, and in Punjab there is a flourishing. But so far as the architecture is concerned, so it is also subject to debate. And no doubt, Mughals they were known for developing a great architecture, and they produce such type of the monuments which be considered as a wonder of the world. While few successor states who emerged on the debris of the Mughal Empire, they are Awadh, Bengal, Nizam, and for some time Jaipur state and Jats. Now the question arises, what is the position of the Awadh? Awadh, when Aurangzeb died, at that time the capital of Awadh is Faizabad. And Sadat Ali Khan was appointed as a Subedar of Awadh. The decline of Mughal Empire is characterized with the heredity, with the, you can say, the Subedar became heredity in their own provinces, and Sadat Khan was succeeded by his son. And in this way, this was happened. And similarly, in 1775, capital was shifted from Faizabad to Lucknow. In the course of time, Lucknow was developed as a great cultural center. Though their religious domination, Sadat Khan belongs to Shia religion, and Shia religion became a part of the, you can say, Lucknow, the part and soul of the Lucknow Awadh culture. Awadh culture was not built in a day, but it takes almost 100 years to get developed. Nawabs at Lucknow, they built two type of the buildings, religious and residential. Residential, we can say palaces to cater the personal needs, and religious category is composed of tomb building and mosque. Now, by going through this lecture, my perception, I want to investigate whether the architecture of the Nawabs at Lucknow, they followed the same Mughal features or there is a change. By going through these buildings, Lucknow, when Aurangzeb died, Lucknow was like any other medieval city. It was not a flourishing. Before Sadat Khan, the Lucknow it is not a extensive town, a small town. It is existing on the river Gomti, and an old fortified palace was existing. Along with this old fortified palace, another palace that is known as Machi Bhavan was also existing. These two edifices are situated on the can be located alongside of the river bank. Beyond that, we have a very cultural mount, that is having a good elevation. It is known as Lakshman Tila. On Lakshman Tila, as usual, Aurangzeb commissioned the construction of a mosque, and this mosque is known as Alamgiri Mosque. And on the southwest periphery of the fort, there is one place that is known as Chowk. This Chowk was the main trade routes, all the main trade routes converge in the Chowk, and it's a marketplace. Lucknow was the terminus point of the trade routes coming from the Tarai. And there are only 4 buildings or edifices, sites were there. One an old fortified palace, another is Machi Bhavan, and a chowk on one side, on the southwest periphery of the fort. So far as the Machi Bhavan is concerned, its original name is Panch Mahal. Its original name is Panch Mahal. Before the arrival of the Sadat Khan, it was the it was the palace providing accommodation to the Subedar of Awadh. This Panch Ibrahim and this Machi Bhavan as a Panch Mahal was built by Sheikh Abdul Rahim in 1590, and he was residing there. When Sadat Khan came, he changed the whole skyline of the Lucknow, whole demography of the Lucknow. And Asafudullah, when he transferred though Sadat Khan paid attention on the development of Lucknow, but he continued to rule from the Faizabad. And Lucknow was given a good attention. A number of the monuments were built there, small monuments, or whatever monuments were existing, they were repaired and modified. When the capital was transferred from Faizabad to Lucknow, 2 new complexes were built there. 2 complexes. This is a new constructions, and this new construction was very interesting. First is Daulat Khana. Its construction started in 1780 and completed in 1788. The palace of Nawab Asafudullah. So far as its location is concerned, it existed northeast of Machi Bhavan and fort. Meaning by the location of this Daulat Khana is still on the river Gomti. And bank of river Gomti was selected to build this new palaces. Another important complex which was built here is the residency. Residency means the residence of the British resident. Daulat Khana was existing on the northeast of Machi Bhavan and fort, and this residency was existing on the southeast of the fort. Meaning the main concentration remain on the river bank and remain around the old buildings which were built during the medieval period. 18th century of Lucknow is concerned. This 18th century is considered as a rise of Lucknow. Rise of Lucknow. And so far as the architectural development in 18th century is concerned, at Lucknow, it is highly influenced by the Mughals. Since Sadat Khan and successive Nawabs, they were the part of the Mughal paraphernalia. They always divided, they always inspired with the Mughal architecture which was developed at Lucknow. And everybody knows Safdarjung, the tomb of Safdarjung was was constructed at Delhi. In the 18th century, these regional rulers or regional subedars, they are highly inspired. They are highly inspired by the Mughal architecture. Now the question arises in 18th century whether the 18th century is a century of disturbance also. So whether these were they successful to build the buildings that imitate the Mughals? Till Asafudollah, no important construction took place at Lucknow. No important constructions. And old constructions like fortified palace, like Machi Bhavan, all these are subjected to the repair and modification to suit their needs. After Asafudollah and successive Nawabs, the change came at Lucknow. Now it's a turning point of the development of Awadh culture there. These Nawabs, when they came in the connection with the Britishers, and they enter into a subsidiary alliance when the political disturbance became zero or cooled down. These Nawabs, they paid a great attention in the development of the various components of the Awadhi culture, like music, paintings, of course the buildings. Asafudollah and other Nawabs, they built two types of the buildings, Imam Baraj and Karbalaj. These two religious buildings associated with the Shia faith of Islam. Shia faith of Islam. Imam Baraj, where the Majlis took place, where the Tajia were kept, Karbalaj, where the Tajiyas were buried. These two structures, of course, religious structures, were built on a large scale by Asafudollah, and Asafudollah built such a monumental Imam Baraj that indicate the architectural development took place at Lucknow. A large number of the Imam Baraj were built. These Imam Baraj can be divided into two kinds. Imam Baraj for public use. When Imam Baraj were built for public use, their size is enormous. They were in size, were huge and accommodate a large public. And second category of the Imam Baraj are Imam Baraj which built within a residences. One thing which I would like to point out here is Shia culture. These Nawabs of Awadh, they developed the Shia culture. They developed the buildings that is, you can say, related with the Shia culture. So now by that time, Lucknow was dominated by Avdi culture or that Avdi culture is dominated by Shia faith of Islam. And Imambadas, which were built for public use, they are much bigger than the residential ones. But the name in itself is quite clear. Nomenclature make it clear. Imambadas which were made for public use, the purpose of these Imambadas to keep a very long, huge public inside. Of course, that's why their buildings are enormous. Their size are very enormous. Imambadas like Asafi Imambara or Bada Imambara. It covers a very huge space. And on the other hand, some Imambadas were built within residences. Now the question arises, why these Imambadas were built at residences? In case of this category, one thing I have to emphasize, these Imambara within a residences were built primarily for the use of women. For the use of women. Another characteristic features of this Imambadas existed within residences. Here, Imambaraj is accompanied with mosque, an integral part of the house design. Though big Imambaraj were also having a big mosque, but these Imambaraj, which were meant for the women and existed in residences, these Imambaraj have a integral part of house design along with mosque, and these were used primarily by the women. And so far as the examples is concerned, the Dipti Sahib ka Imam Baraj, it can be put into a Imam Baraj within residence in the category of Imam Baraj into residences. Fakr Manjil, Jannat ki Khidki, all these Imam Baraj built for residential purpose, for any residences and built for the women. So now some sort of the division can be, you can say, can be indicated, and the character of these buildings are decided as per the needs, as per the purpose of its use, Now the question arises, these Imam Baraj built on a large scale. Buildings, 18th century, second half of the 18th century and the first half of the 19th century at Lucknow, a large number of the buildings were built. Building was also built there, and these buildings, residency was built, and everybody knows this residency was a very spacious. And this building was built, of course, having a characteristic features which dominated them is from the British architecture. While so far as the other Daulat Khana is concerned, it is built for the personal use of Asaf Daulah. It's a palace, and he preferred to dominate this building with the Mughal architecture, with the features of the Mughal architecture, though they are totally changed and modified Mughal architectural features. Now, since a number of the buildings were built in the closing years of the 18th century, so now question arises, what were their peculiar features of the construction? What type of the materials have been used? These buildings at Lucknow are made of lakhori bricks, a very small bricks. And this region was totally devoid of stone. In the absence of the stone, the only building material that is available is the bricks. These are the clean turned bricks, and some handmade bricks were also found. Now these bricks, the courses of the bricks were laid, and the mortar is very interesting. Mortar is a mix of lime, sand and surkhi. Surkhi is a powder of bricks. And now this type of the mortar, lime can be obtained by the builders. Sand and surkhi was now in some buildings we come across the use of wood, and this wood was used to span flat roofs. And wood generally used, the planks of the wood is generally used on the doors and windows. On the doors and windows, meaning by this region is very rich for the trees, and the wood became a material to cover the span of doors, windows and roofs. And the wood is having a expiry date, so now in large number of the buildings have already been deteriorated. And apart from it, colored glasses, the use of colored glasses are also found. It was this colored glasses was used in window shutters. Window is covered with colored glasses, and meaning by the colored glasses providing a decoration as well as they provide the safety from air and sunlight in the inner side of the building. Another important ingredient of the construction is black and white marble. The pieces of the black and white marble are used in the floorings, and the builder of these buildings prefer black and white marble in floors of the building, floors of the room, floors of the hall, floors of the mosque, and they obtained this black and white marble from the Rajasthan. Apart from it, we also come across the use of large octagonal bricks, that is locally known as pan patta, and this large octagonal bricks also created a zigzag in walls. The large number of these bricks also having a very thin bricks, but they are perfect octagonal. That's why they were known as pan patta. And in the construction, sandstone was also used. Sandstone, from where they procure the sandstone they procure from the banks of river Gomti. And they were having a very wide range of construction and use of material. And after the construction of the buildings, the inner and outer surface has been plastered in a very good way, and on these plasters, whatever decoration we found, they created on the plasters. But the inner and outer surface of the buildings were whitewashed in lime. Lime was used to whitewash the building. So far as the building techniques are concerned, the arcade structures be found on a large scale. The use of arches, arcade technology means use of arches and domes. And maximum structure built at Lucknow, they are dominated by the arcuate structures, arches, domes, and we also come across the walls. Walls were also built there, and these arches played a great role in the construction of these buildings. These arches are used to give the strength to the walls, and large walls have relieving arches built within them. Relieving arches. It means that this wall get extra strength when a relieving arches were built inside it. And walls, I have already emphasized, these arches and walls were made up of brick masonry. Brick masonry. Lahori bricks have been used or lime plasters have been used. So far as the decoration of these buildings are concerned, the decoration they imitate the stone decoration of Mughal monuments. In these buildings, the Awadh Nawabs, they imitate the stone decoration of Mughal monuments. And when there was no stone used in the building, then they used the stucco lime plaster, and on stucco lime plaster they uses the decorative motifs of the great Mughals. And these bricks are, when kiln turned, these bricks of some particular shapes have been created. Mukarnas and foliation of arches were built with the use of the bricks of different shapes. Here there is no stone. Then mukarnas were built in bricks, and foliation of the arches were also built in bricks. Bricks cut in that shape and foliation took place. Imambaras and Karvalas, they decorated with the decorative elements like calligraphy, arabesque, and floral patterns. These three, now the question arises, in decorating with elements like calligraphy, arabesque, or floral patterns, what was their quality? Their quality matched to the Mughals or not? They also use in their building the minars and chhatris. Minars and chhatris became a hallmark of Mughal architecture, development of the Mughal architecture. Again, the question arises their quality. Heavy parapets have been used at the skyline of the wall and at the roof level of the wall. These all are, they made a desperate attempt to imitate the Mughal architecture. And now they have a flat plastered surfaces, and these flat plastered surfaces, the stucco plaster was cut, and on the stucco plaster calligraphy was developed, arabesque was developed, floral patterns were developed. Meaning by calligraphy, arabesque, and floral patterns are concerned, they are created in the stucco plasters. And now whatever decoration they made in the form of the panels and trimmings, all they executed in stucco, because their surface is heavily plastered with the stucco, with lime plaster, and this plaster was used for the for decoration. So far as calligraphy is concerned, calligraphy, they cut the stucco plaster in the form of the calligraphy. The arabesque stylized floral designs they created on stucco plasters. Whatever their floral patterns they use for the decoration purpose in Imambara and Karvalas, they all are executed in the stucco plasters. One thing is quite clear, In the construction of the Imambadas and Karbalas, they, so far as their technology is concerned, so far as their building techniques are concerned, so far as their decorative patterns are concerned, they imitated the floral designs, they imitated the elements of Mughals. Though they were failed to develop these elements in such a quality as Mughals used them. And now I would prefer to stop here. I will continue my discussion in the next lecture. Thank you very much.